Hey guys, today we are in Warsaw in Progresja Club. Having a special guest tonight with us for the GuitarStories episode. If you don't know yet, you will find out in a second, but we have the one and only Jeff Loomis of Nevermore.
Thank you for having me.
Hey
Pleasure.
Jeff, it's a pleasure for us.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Good. Is it your first time in Warsaw, in Poland?
No, been to Poland, gosh, many times. A few times with Nevermore in the past, with the older version of the band.
Yeah.
And many times, of course, with Arch Enemy. When I was in Arch Enemy for about 10 years. I'm going to say I've been to like Wrocław, have I said that right? Wrocław?
Wrocław?
Yes.
Okay.
Warsaw, Gdansk, places like that.
Probably Krakow also.
And Krakow.
Ah,
Absolutely,
perfect.
yep. All those places.
Good. And you had the safe trip. We are here with us, ready for the
Yes.
show.
We are very excited to play tonight for our Polish fans, and I'm really happy to be here again.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'll try to go with a few of the questions that we have for you. We'll cover a bit of the history, a bit personally also with you.
Yep.
And of course, we'll touch the gear. That's what the channel is also about.
Sure.
And of course, the Nevermore as the band.
Absolutely.
So starting off, I've heard the rumors that actually you started as a drummer. And I know that you also have a grand piano at your home.
Yes.
So what made you switch to the guitar?
Well, you know, my father, it's all about my father because he was very musical when I was growing up as a kid, and he had tons of records, tons of vinyls. So he was always playing different music in the house and stuff like that. So I showed interest in drums. I was like, Dad, can I get a drum kit? And basically, one day he came home with a really, really old, like Slingerland, like 3-piece jazz kit that he bought used for me, and I immediately just loved it. You know, what I would do was I'd put on a vinyl, like Van Halen 1 or something like that, with a pair of headphones, and I would kind of like mimic along and play along to the songs. And I think that realistically gave me a very good sense of rhythm as a young kid, and I was just like, you know, really getting on with like rhythms and all that sort of stuff. But I kind of quickly became bored with drums because I was like searching for something else, like more melody.
Okay.
And my dad also had a classical guitar in a closet that I found, and I opened it up, and I just found it to be so much more exciting. You know, even though I didn't know how to play it, just finding certain notes and things like that was something that I found very interesting. And what I would do is I'd be watching TV with my father, and there would be like a commercial on TV, like with a jingle, you know, like a musical thing, and I could quickly find those notes on the guitar. So I guess I was just blessed with having a good ear, you know, or something like that. And then he put me in group lessons. And then I started taking just normal lessons from like local area, you know, hotshot guitar virtuosos that were in Wisconsin at the time. And, but most of my playing is really self-taught. You know, it wasn't until I first heard like Yngwie Malmsteen and things like that that really it started pushing me even more to just spend hours in my room playing and honing my craft.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's cool. So we know already about the first guitar that you had.
Right.
But do you remember the next one in line, which was this kind of a real, maybe already electric?
Yeah, I mean, I graduated from the classical that my dad had to a PVT-15. And if you look that up, it's a very smaller scaled guitar.
Okay.
And what it was known for back in the day was having the amplifier in the case.
Whoa.
So you just like, you know, plug in your guitar, and like everything is right there. That guitar lasted me for about a year, I think. I still have photos of me holding it. And then I graduated to a Fender Strat. My dad bought me my first guitar. So that was really my first real guitar.
Okay.
It was a Fender Stratocaster.
Do you still know where it is, or you?
I do not, and I wish I did. Yeah,
okay.
it's hopefully floating around somewhere with bringing someone joy.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. That's good. You mentioned a lot of practicing. We know that actually you became quite skilled at the craft which you are doing. So playing guitar very fast as a young kid. How do you see this from the time perspective, those hours spent when practicing? Was it like this kind of a escape from the world, or rather, as you a bit mentioned it already, mastering the craft, making sure that you're getting better and basically, I don't know, enjoying?
Right, that's a great question. And I believe that it really comes from just pure joy. You know, when you find something in your life that you just absolutely love, you just don't stop doing it, you know? And I think also from the support that I had from both of my parents, which is crazy because both of my parents were teachers. My dad was a psychology teacher and my mom was an English teacher. And you'd think that they would say, hey, you have to go, you know, play your guitar for half an hour, but then you need to do your studies. It was quite the opposite, actually. They, you know, they knew that that brought me joy, so they completely supported it and let me do my practicing really whenever I pleased, you know, and that really pushed me to just put hours and hours in every day, just to perfect my craft, you know. So I was back in the day probably playing 10 to 12 hours a day.
Oh my God.
Yeah, just because I just simply loved it. And I think because of those hours that were put in, it's just, that's how you get better, you know?
Yeah.
Pianists alike, you know, you have to put the hours in to get good.
That's true. You need to do the mileage.
Exactly, yeah. Very true.
Okay, but that brings us to the next point. At the age of 16, if I remember correctly, you auditioned for Megadeth?
It was more like 17 or 18.
Okay.
It's always written that it was 16, but it was more like 17 or 18. And it was around the year of late 88 or 89 that I got the opportunity to do that. And the audition for Megadeth, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. And it's funny because a lot of people don't believe me, you know. I did that at that age, but my parents let me do it. They let me fly out to LA. But they were like, you can do it, but you have to go with like an older chaperone that will watch after you, because they were kind of worried and stuff, you know. Flew out there. I think I played 4 songs with them. It was like Wake Up Dead, The Conjuring, In My Darkest Hour, and maybe one other track. Played with the whole band. Yeah. I remember Dave Mustaine didn't sing. Okay. It was just, we were just playing instrumentally. And I remember David Ellefson was the one that called my name when I was in line. He's like, Jeff Loomis, and here comes this, you know, younger punk. Okay. So I think he was a bit surprised by that. We played all the songs, and then afterwards, Dave came up to me and said, hey, you know, it's like, you're an excellent player, but you're just too young. You know, you don't have the experience, you're kind of green. The thing that I remember him saying was just to keep going with it, and just to keep practicing and just keep doing your thing. And ironically, like years later in 2005, I believe it was, Nevermore was asked to play with Megadeth on the Gigantour. So, I mean, everything worked out. You know, I got to be on tour with Dave Mustaine, and it was quite an experience, you know. And I basically listened to him. I just kept going. I kept on fighting and playing and just doing it. So
that's so amazing.
Just never give up. I think that's really the point of that, you know, never give up.
Good.
So, yeah.
I know that basically you started with a 6-string guitar and mastered that tremendously well. We know your sweep picking technique, your basically precision, that's something which gives the drive for the young generation. If you would say something, I don't know, one advice to a young student who wants to be so fast, he wants to be as good and precise, what to do?
Like we were discussing before, you just have to put in the time, really. It's a time thing, you know. And I think that you have to really pay attention to learning new things every day as well. And I think the kids today are so fortunate because they have all these online free lessons on YouTube, where back in my day, you know, all we had was vinyls and tapes, and I was constantly rewinding a tape and playing it back and just trying to pick up on a part. I would even spin vinyl slowly and learn like the single notes that Eddie Van Halen was tapping in Eruption, you know. But I think the tools that we have today are really awesome, because you see these young kids at the age of what, 9, 10, that are just flying over the fretboard just because they have all these cool lessons that they can learn so very fast, you know. But I would say that you really just need to work on having your own identity. Try not to copy other players, you know. In the long run, it's about you as an artist, and you really just want to be yourself. So that's one of my big recommendations, is to find your own identity, and to, number 2, get out of your bedroom and stop filming yourself. Get with the band. Play with the band and play live in your garage with the band, you know. That's really important, because that's really where you end up, is on the stage, right? So those are 2 pieces of advice I can give.
That's true.
Yeah.
You've mentioned something important, which is actually the tools, which we have at our grasp. We can take from the internet. We can actually go into the shop and test everything what we want. You've been involved with Schecter for 12 years, if more or less.
Yeah, that was my first real guitar endorsement.
Yeah.
very kind of like in the middle stages of Nevermore. I was basically looking for a 7-string guitar at the time. Like there was not a lot of 7-string guitars at that time. There was Schecter and Ibanez, I think, that had them. And I ended up going with Schecter and was with them for many, many years. I believe like 11 or 12 years, something like this. And designed a guitar with them that sold very well. And, you know, I ended up doing a lot of guitar clinics with them as well. And then that ended, you know. I wanted to kind of move on because it was more or less like a design thing where I couldn't really, you know, get more involved with like a different headstock and stuff like that. They were very wanting to keep this like headstock that they had, the design, you know. And I basically wanted to be a free agent and use other guitars that I had in my collection at the time. However, that didn't last, and I ended up with Jackson. So I feel really at home with Jackson. I've always played Jackson guitars ever since I was 15, 16 years old. So I couldn't ask for a better home. You know, it's that's where I am at right now. I have well, I actually have 4 different models with them that we are selling, and it's they are all wonderful instruments. So
super. You also have the Seymour Duncan signature.
I am with Seymour Duncan as well. Yep, I have a active pickup with them that is in most of my guitars, but I really am catering more to the passives right now. I'm basically using my Numenon passive pickup in every single one of my touring guitars at the moment, just simply because I don't know. I just love the sound of a passive. It makes you just work a little harder with your right hand. You can dig in more and get more tone out of it. It's a fantastic pickup. So check it out if you get a chance. The Numenon.
Make sure to check it out.
Yes, it's great.
That brings us also to the point which you already mentioned. You are using heavily 7-string guitars. What was the transition like, and why actually you changed? Was it like the longer scale or possibilities?
It was the sound, you know, just being able to go into a more lower register. At the time, I was listening to some early Meshuggah stuff, you know, like Destroy, Erase, Improve, and believe it or not, some Korn stuff, which I thought was just super awesome. And I just wanted more of a heavier sound. So like right around 1999, late 1999 or 2000, I started writing with the 7-string. And I was just really digging the tone and just the sound of it all. It was just more ballsy, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how that stuck and became kind of a signature thing with Nevermore. And our record in 2000, Dead Heart in a Dead World, is really the signature, the kind of the stamp of where we started with 7-string guitars.
Okay.
Yeah.
How this goes along with what is actually happening right now in the world, because you also had the signature Angle amp.
I didn't have a signature Angle.
Was it? Oh,
no.
Okay.
Yeah, I never really had a signature amp as of yet. Yeah, but you know, I still love using a real amp, you know.
Okay.
Obviously there's so many different like little things out there, like little boxes and XFXs and quad cortexes, and God, they're beautiful to tour with because, you know, everything is just in that little box that you need with chorus, delay, reverb, and whatnot. And it's really easy to do fly-in shows with those as well. We are touring with the quad cortexes on this tour.
Yeah.
However, at home, I really, really love using amps, and I've got like 4 or 5 that I really cherish. Like a couple of Marshalls. I have a Bogner MK2. I have. Right now, I'm using a lot of the Synergy stuff as well. So you're able to take out the, you know, the little component, put it in. Oh, I want a JCM 800 today. Yeah. It's very easy to do that. So I have 4 or 5 cool amps like that, and a Friedman as well. So, you know, nothing beats a real amp.
Wow.
You know?
Okay, but for necessity and basically for touring, it's still that modern stuff. That
right. So what I try to do is I just try to replicate. You know, like we really tried to look into, you know, Dead Heart in a Dead World and Godless and what we were using on those, which were, God, what did we use? An old Mesa Boogie, actually. An old, that sounds like a big plane. There's the rectifier head. Yeah. You remember that? Anyway, I used that on those early albums with like a Maxon overdrive. So we just kind of try to replicate that in the quad cortex and hone that tone in. And, you know, it's very close. Very close.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I'll jump to some questions about the band and the setup that you are having at this moment. Because a lot of the fans and the world never thought that this will happen again after a world passed away. And everybody was anticipating, will this happen? I know that you and Van, who are the pillars of the band, made this decision to come back. What was behind that? Why did the moment come that, yes, it's now?
Well, for several reasons. The biggest reason, I believe, was because when the band disbanded back in 2010-ish, it left on a very sour note. It was a lot of tug of war, so to speak, between Van and I and the rest of the band at the time about certain business decisions and all this. And, you know, there was a lot of drinking going on back in those days, you know, and decisions couldn't be made properly, and we ended up leaving the band. And so that was very sad. You know, it's kind of like you can relate it to a marriage, you know, like that's lasted a long time and all of a sudden a divorce happens or something like that. So Van and I both kind of went our own way, you know, like I went and I started doing a ton of guitar clinics and traveling all over the world. And Van ended up joining like Ashes of Aries and a couple of other bands. He was in a band called Ghost Ship Octavius as well. And then, of course, my whole 10-year thing with Arch Enemy came into play. And that was a lot of fun because it kind of gave me the opportunity to tour again and get back out on the road. However, I didn't really get much songwriting in the band. And I really wanted to get behind the driver's wheel of my music again, you know, and write.
Yeah, makes sense.
So that was a big part of it as well. So that's when I started kind of calling Van and saying, hey, you know, is this possible? Can we do this, you know? So that's when we put the auditions out there for people to send in private videos, and we ended up with like over 700 submissions. And it was crazy. We spent months looking at these submissions, and it just happened. We found the person, you know, it was Berzan, the singer.
Yeah.
It's like, this guy, he's not just going through the motions when he's singing, he's really feeling it, you know? And that was very important that we found somebody like that, because we just didn't want to find an impersonator, so to speak, you know? It had to be somebody that was feeling it and doing it for the right reasons. And so that happened. And then Samir kind of happened through a mutual friend saying, hey, check this bass player out. He comes from a band called Oceans of Slumber. He's a great guy, killer bass player. And then we checked out his video submission, and it was awesome. He was playing all the parts perfectly and just really honing in on like the kick drum and tightness and all that. And then Jack, the other guitar player, believe it or not, I was doing a video down at Seymour Duncan, and Jack was an assistant on the video shoot. And I didn't even know he was a guitar player, really, up until that. Well, I kind of knew he was a guitar player, but I ended up taking my guitar and passing it off to him because I had to go grab something else. And he sat down in my chair and just started playing. And it was like one of these moments where I just turned around and just like went, wow, this guy's insane. And kind of a light bulb went off in my head, and I was like, I'm going to ask this guy if he wants to join Nevermore.
That's insane.
And then he said yes immediately. So, I mean, it's just everything kind of came together and the stars aligned. You know what I mean? And the next step was for us to actually meet each other because, as you know, Berzan is from Turkey and he couldn't get into the States. So we decided to go to Sweden at a friend's studio, our friend Tor Ostby's place. And basically we got together and just set up and we played. And we just kind of figured, let's just start right now with the first song. And literally, Van hits the hi-hat, and we were all playing immediately. It just all gelled, you know? And that's when we decided to do that documentary that Ola Englund put out and just kind of introduce the band to the world. And now we're here. So it's that's how fast it all happened. It literally took about 2 years to put that all together.
That's an amazing story.
Yeah, it really is cool.
But looking at it from the perspective of how we perceive the comeback, because you cannot deny this, and I think nobody can deny that that's one of the biggest comebacks of metal that happened in the past few years.
Right.
But it seems like you guys known each other forever. Like,
that's the weird thing.
This kind of star alignment, which you mentioned, because you can find a technically perfect person, but what about the character? You need to live with somebody on the road.
Dude, that is so spot on that you say that. And that's one thing that Van and I really, really wanted to make sure of is that, hey, these guys are fantastic, but are they able to tour? Are we able to get along? And this is actually Berzan's first tour. He's never toured before, and he's just phenomenal at it, you know? And it's like every day we're laughing in the tour bus and just high-fiving each other. It's like everybody's on the same page. And when that happens, it's like a driving force. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about anything. You just know that everybody's going to be on top of their game every single day. And it's just the most wonderful feeling. And that's kind of where we are at the moment right now. You know, it's, I think this is our 13th show tonight as a band. So it's like still really fresh, but it's super tight. And man, it's just, here we are, you know.
That's
great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I can only just wish the best.
Thank you.
With that.
Thank you.
But hearing how basically the band is coming together as one element, as one family, there are also speculations, this kind of theories of the fans that you have some stash of unused material still from the old days hidden.
I have CDs, tapes of so much stuff that I've written in the past that has like been unused that I'm going to actually go through when I get home. You know, as you've noticed, this whole thing has kind of been done backwards, because when a new band comes out, usually there's a video release and a single. But we decided basically, hey, we want to kind of bypass that and just get back on stage to show everybody what we can do first and foremost, and then worry about the album a little bit later. So that's in the works. We have that all slated for a time after our second leg of this tour is over with Judas Priest, and we're going to work on a new album. So that's all going to come into play very, very soon.
Amazing. Yep. Amazing.
And we have a new home as well for a record company called Reigning Phoenix Music.
Super.
So everything's in play.
That is perfect.
Yeah.
So hopefully that will see the light soon.
Yes.
Is there anything that you would like to tell, or maybe give us a bit of an Easter egg to the fans?
I wish I could, but I mean, yeah, that's kind of like we're kind of taking, you know, holding that back within our hearts right now, just to, you know, make sure that we make the best album that we do. That's all I can really say. And it's going to be extremely heavy, of course. It's going to be a very diverse record with a lot of hills and valleys, with serene stuff as well. I got a lot of cool acoustic parts written, but the heaviness element will definitely be there as well.
Yeah, you're using the 7 strings.
Of course, yes, yes.
That's perfect.
And 6 strings.
Okay.
You know, so it's like, you know, it's, you know, still tuned to E flat, which we always do. It's just, that's our standard tuning is E flat. And then, you know, so there'll be 6-string stuff, 7-string stuff, even some ethnic instruments that I'm working on putting on it. So like I believe a lute. Yeah, you'll hear it.
Super.
Yeah.
A bit of a historical question, if I may. You said that in the between part of the old Nevermore and the new version, let's call it, you also played with Arch Enemy.
Right.
How that influenced you, and what was the decision behind? You already a bit answered that leaving the band.
Michael and I go way back. Michael Amont. I think I met him in, gosh, 97 or something like that. And I was always a fan of the band. Thought they were always just really heavy, and just, I liked his songwriting a lot. Really cool stuff. He actually asked me to join Arch Enemy another time as well, but I was still actually active in Nevermore at the time. And I really just said, you know, no. But when he asked me the second time, the timing was right. I just got done doing the Conquering Dystopia album with Keith Merrow, and I really wasn't doing much. So that's when I said yes. I literally took like 2 weeks, learned all the songs, flew out to Lyon, France for the first show. Really, realistically, it gave me the opportunity to go back and tour in the right way, because you know, there was a lot of stuff that happened in the Nevermore days that, you know, of course it was all a good time and stuff, but me being a sober person now, it was enlightening for me to go out with Arch Enemy to do touring the right way, and just to play 110% every single night, and just to learn things along the way. You know, I learned a lot, and it was just like I said before, though, where the 10 years was kind of like, maybe this is enough for me now, and I just want to get back to doing my own thing. And I let him know that, and he was very understanding, and we're still very close to this day. You know, it's all good. I'm close with everybody in the band still. So I like to keep friends with everybody. You know, there's no need for, you know, bad stuff. You know, life is too short.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right. Okay, I think we are coming to an end. Okay. Maybe just last question from my perspective. If you would want to pass some information to the fans in Poland, what would it be?
you know, number one, thank you for coming to the show tonight. It's a sold-out show here, and we were with a bunch of really cool friends tonight, too. We go way back with Sabotage. We used to tour with them in the early 2000s. Our friends from Armored Saint are here from Los Angeles. Couldn't be happier. I guess I'll just say thank you to all of our Polish fans for being here for us tonight. And also, we will be back, hopefully in 27 for some more shows. And we look forward to that. And thank you for listening.
Thank you, Jeff, for having us.
Thank you so much.
And good luck on the tour.
Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Welcome, Warsaw! Inside Oh, hell yeah! You guys are fucking amazing! amazing, man.